Hey, hi. So we're on Call of Duty again. It's gonna be the last video for me playing on Xbox. I need to hop back over on PC and get used to that again. But I kind of just been enjoying it on Xbox just because it's quicker for me just to boot it up. It's the reason why. But this video I'm really not gonna be going online. I'm more or less wanting to review a weapon, which I'm gonna be doing this every time I max out one. Which I maxed out the MP5. See, like I got every skin on this weapon. Every one of them's done, and I'm currently using a splinter for this just because I like the way it looks. I really do like the gold. It looks really nice too, but it's just like I feel like it's too revealing. And then Damascus looks really good. I like the way Damascus looks on them, but I just don't like that gold looks like too revealing, so I use like a darker color just because it looks better on it. But yeah, the overall, I guess you could say, review for this weapon. I have like a preview going on, so you can kind of like just let it. It's just gonna be playing in the background. But the overall review I can give on this weapon is for this to be put into Call of Duty, which I mean it's been in every Call of Duty almost. The MP5 is this one's a really good weapon. I would say it's almost one of the better SMGs, one of the best SMGs. I have not used all of them, but so far I would say that this one, if you're gonna get in SMGs, I feel like this is the weapon you need to go for, because it overall, the way it plays, you can run this without using any attachments. You may have to you have to get a little bit play around with it, but you can almost run this like gun with like barely any attachments and it won't affect you that badly. The only time I believe this weapon will affect you is if you're using a range, like if you're trying to get that long range hit, which you do gotta get long shot kills to get some of the skins, which it can be tough at times. But I guess my good opinion to get the long shot kills is go for the mounted kills as well. Because if you get the mounted long shot kills, it kind of makes it easier because the weapon's a little bit more stable and you can get more hits that way. And yeah, that's all I can really say about that. The other thing I don't like about this weapon, which it's not really a big deal, it's just more or less my issue, which it might be some others don't know, but the other issue I do tend to have on this gun, or with this gun, is I run out of ammo real quick just because how fast it shoots. It doesn't really take much to kill someone, so if you're in a heat of battle and you're just shooting really fast, you run out of ammo, then you're kind of screwed. And I do know you could probably like add like the extra rounds or whatever, and I feel like, yeah, that could be nice and all, but at the same time I feel like that's pointless. Don't add extra rounds, because if you were to just add on scavenger, that'd be just as better. You don't really need to just add on the 10mm rounds. Even though yes, it does give you more damage, but the only thing is it slows down the fire rate. Doesn't majorly slow it down, but it just slows down a little bit. But if you just add FMJ, it does about the same thing, but it doesn't really affect the weapon that majorly. It just gives it more damage. So my best bet is if you were to go with the ammo case and scavenger. If you really just want to have ammo like non-stop, I feel like that's the best way to go. But if you don't really have to have that ammo case with you at all times, just go scavenger and just go whatever you usually go with, but whichever one I guess best suits you. Alright, so I got other builds or idea builds I have on like the private, which I'll run through them and I'll show you them later, but I'll show you the one I kind of go with on the regular. Like I said, I have the 10mm rounds, but it's not really necessary, because like you could tell like the fire rate is a little low. But watch, I'm gonna take this off and then I'm gonna put on the FMJ, and it just gives me more damage and my range is just affected, so it's not really a major thing, it's just slightly done. So I think I said that in one of the other videos, but yeah, it's nothing really major. But okay, so let's start off and we're gonna go with the muzzles. I go with this muzzle, the flash guard, just because it really doesn't do a whole lot to it. It just lowers the range just a little bit, that's all it does. Like just that little inch, it's not that major. You don't really see a difference. And then, like I said beforehand, a lot of the attachments, like a lot of the main attachments and stuff, don't really affect the weapon as much. Like the tactical suppressor, you can see that the control is very minuscule on the like the steadiness and stuff. This one, it says it's got aim down sight speed. It's very little. You can't even see how little that is. That's how low it is. That one, it's kind of major, but it's still not that bad. The suppressors will cause you to slow down, but it gives you more range, so that's the good thing. The lightweight suppressor I don't really use a lot. It's okay. I don't really like to use the suppressors on this one. I actually prefer to use the I think a monolithic suppressor that's on the barrel instead of like on the muzzle, just because it's easier to use. It just puts on a suppressor instantly and it just makes it better for me. The breacher device, it is the same thing, doesn't really do much. If you just want to punch faster, that's all it really is good for. I don't use it because it's kind of pointless to me. I don't find no use of it. And then the compensator, I feel like this is a really good one. I like to use this one a lot every now and then. I don't really get to use it a lot because I just try to focus on I just usually just use one build and that's it. I don't really bounce around as much as I used to, but the compensator is really good. It's got high control, very little mobility, like it barely like messes with it. So the ones I recommend for the muzzle would probably be the compensator, flash guard, and if you don't want to have to use the barrel for the suppressor, I would say the tactical suppressor or the monolithic suppressor. The lightweight is pretty good, but all it does is just sound suppression. It doesn't really do anything major, it just lowers your range. But the monolithic suppressor gives you more range and it gives you sound suppression, and then that one just gives you sound suppression, but lower, it just makes you slower. Muzzle brake, I do highly recommend. It's a nice one. And then if you're going to be, I guess, running around punching, I recommend the breach device, but that one's on you if you really want to use that one or not. Alright, so now moving on to the FS, or no, not the FS, but moving on to the barrels. Actually, let's do it like this. Okay, so I'm going to take off all the stuff so you can see, I guess, the major changes to it. So we did that. We're going to go to the barrels. Okay, so the barrel, like I said again, the attachments barely do anything to it. So the FS light just basically gives you more aim down sight speed. That's why I use it. I love it for that reason. And that's all I can really say for it. It just slows you down a little bit. That's it. Or it lowers your range, not to slow you down. Then this is what I was talking about previously. The monolithic integral suppressor and then the subsonic integral suppressor. These two are by far my favorite. Those are amazing. I'll talk about those in a minute. I don't want to like jump the gun, but I will talk about this one first. As you can tell, it barely lowers the anything. It just lowers your mobility a little bit. And the thing is, with the way the game plays now, everyone kind of, I mean, people are moving a lot now lately, which is great, but you still have people that don't really move a lot still. So I mean, it's not really that major of a deal because some of the maps are kind of big and it kind of helps you a little bit with the slow movement and just to get around or all that. But yeah, it's overall a decent suppressor. I'd recommend this one or the subsonic one. The FSS Mini, I don't really like this one. Appealingly, I don't like the way it looks. It just makes the weapon look weird. I don't know why. It just doesn't look cool. It just looks like just looks odd to me. I don't really use this one a whole lot. I have been wanting to try a little bit more, but it's good for mobility. It's the only thing it's good for. I mean, if you want to get in, get out, and just if you were to go for the kills with without like aiming down sight, this could probably help. But I'd have I got a better build. I think that's kind of, it helps a little more, or at least helps a little more for me. And then now the subsonic integral suppressor. This is probably my favorite attachment for the barrel, besides the monolithic and the FS light. But this is probably my most favorite, just because, well, one, look at all the like pluses on it: sound suppression, no visible tracers, aim down sight speed, and no enemy skulls. And the only thing it attacks you is your range, but you can fix that easily by adding more attachments. And even though, yes, it doesn't really boost up a lot of your stuff, and it more or less lowers your range, but you can easily get that up. So let's say, okay, so we're gonna add that, and our range is lowered, right? Okay, so we can't have any muzzles though, so you can't do that. That's the only other thing that I guess is bad. If you guys want to have a muzzle, we can't have it just because it's integrated. Now, going on to the lasers, I don't really use the lasers, but they're not bad. They're actually really good. They have like no like bad thing wrong with them. The only thing is like you just the enemies see it, that's it. They're actually really good. I just don't use them just because, I don't know, I just don't. I mean, I would like to use them though, just because you can actually intimidate some people with that laser, just because you say like, let's say like you have the laser aiming at a hallway, they'll try to challenge it or they don't want to challenge it, and you basically put them in that corner. And yeah, that's all I can really say about that one. Now going on to optics. Okay, so this is the thing with this weapon. In my opinion, I feel like this weapon does not need an optic. The only time I think, and if you do need an optic, I don't think you need a big one. The best ones you need is like these little ones, like the mini reflex. Where's this other one at? This one. There's another one. That one. This is my favorite one. I like that one a lot. All of them pretty much do the same thing, except for the thermals. They just give you thermal. You should already know what that does. And like with the bigger ones, they obviously like slower down your movement and control, but it's really not no major change to it. It just gives you better aiming, so you can see better. That's really it. On this one, like I said, I prefer the smaller ones, but you can do whatever you want on these, just because of the fact that it all matters on how you see the weapon and stuff. I usually just roll the iron sights or the small little sights, but if you're gonna go for the long shot kills, because I know this one has skins for that, I use the integral hybrid, because it was just a nice to have, because I can look far away, then I can also look up close. It was nice. I wouldn't recommend it to like keep, but unless you can get used to it. But I would just say if you're gonna be using like a small one, I'd just say, like, if you're using the small a little more, I'd just say just go for the small, and then just adapt your eyes to that one. Be easier, because you can kind of easily get used to it. I mean, if you're gonna be using the ACOG by itself and not really bothering with it, just go for ACOG. I mean, it's just all it is. Now going on to the stocks, I don't really use this one. I used it originally, but I don't like it as much. I don't know. Appealingly, I don't like the way it looks, I guess you could say. I like the way that one looks more, just because it looks good. But this one, it's pretty good for your aim walking speed. That's all I think it's really good for. The FTAC collapsible is technically better if you want to get that like mobility. But this one's not bad. Just barely lowers your control. It's the same thing with this one. This just lowers your mobility a little bit, gets you better control. Nothing too major. This one, I feel like it's one of the better ones. I use this one a lot, and I use the FS on one build, I think, but this one's a lot better, just because it, like I said, it barely does anything. Similar to like the other ones, it barely like affects you at all, and all it does is affects your accuracy just a little bit. And all you gotta do is just add an attachment to fix that. So now to the FTAC collapsible, which I probably called that FS previously, my bad. As you can see, like I said, the mobility is high. You can run with this. I don't really use ranged on this. I more or less use, like, I just run around with it, and I just don't really aim as much with it, just for that reason, just because it's so little, and it's really nice to have. It's kind of like, pretty much you can make the MP5K out of this weapon, pretty much is the whole, like, idea of it. And it does majorly affect your range, accuracy, and control, but like I said beforehand, you can fix it where it's not bad. But if you're trying to get that speed and you want to get in, get out, and all that stuff, I feel like this one would probably be good for you, or the FSS close quarter stock. Those two I feel like are the best ones. Now if you're going to try to go for, I guess, more accuracy, I feel like this is the best one. These three are your best ones to go for. This one isn't bad. It's not awful. It's pretty good, but these three are the best, in my opinion. Alright, so now going to the underbarrel. At first when I was using this weapon, I really didn't know exactly like how majorly these affected. Like, I thought these really sucked, and I didn't use them for a while, but then I kind of use them now. And I kind of see the differences between them too, and now, and it kind of, I can feel it a lot more now. And this one, it's not bad, but if you have low control, it's not the greatest. The only thing it does is affect your movement speed. A lot of this just really just affects your like aimed out sight speed and your movement speed. That's all it really affects, and it just gives you better control. The command, like I said, that one I'm not a big fan of. I use the Merc foregrip, Ranger, and then every now and then the Operator. The tactical one I use a lot too, just because it's really nice. I feel like it's a lot better than that one, the Command foregrip. And I usually use these on the bigger ones, like when I have the bigger stock in the back, just because it's easier to use. Or if I have the other, which is the FS, I use that one for that too. But overall, tactical, Operator, and then I would say Ranger, maybe Merc. Like these four, I feel like are good. All of them are technically good in my opinion, but I guess the go-tos I can see a lot of people using is probably these four right here. And then ammunition, you can go whichever one you want. There's really no major difference. One gives you more capacity, one gives you more damage. And it's like I said beforehand, I feel like these are very pointless if you're going to use a perk, because, okay, so I'm going to go to the perks real quick just to show you. FMJ. So FMJ does that much. When you go here, it does about the same. The only difference is it gives you range and accuracy, but lowers your fire rate. That's the only thing that the 10mm does. But if you have all your stuff set, you can just do that easily. And then the other thing I was talking about is this fully loaded. The max starting ammo, I feel like this is the best thing to do. It gives you like a lot of ammo, and it's really nice. If you have scavenger on, you're gonna have a lot more easier time to run with it, and that's all I really got to say for that. Like I said though, I don't really feel like these are needed, but if you don't want to use scavenger or the ammo crate, then I'd say go for whichever one you think you feel is best, because to me they just don't feel important, but it's whatever you do. Now going on to the rear grips, honestly, I think I use 1 or 2 rear grips. I don't really use a lot, but I can't really give a good, I guess, estimate, but it's pretty much similar to the others. It gives you like good mobility, some lowers, and this is the only one that gives you good accuracy. So it's really just, I guess that one's up to you. I can't really give you a whole lot on that one, just because, like I said, I don't really use them a whole lot, or I don't really see the differences in them that well. And the perks, okay, so I haven't used all the perks for the MP5, but the ones I have used is I've tried out the FMJ, which I've already talked about. Sleight of hand, that's a really nice one to have. It basically just reloads faster and fire rate. Fully loaded, I use that every now and then, not all the time, but every now and then. I tried out burst fire, but it's alright. I didn't enjoy it as much, and it might be just because of the fact that I was doing it on core in a hardcore match. Not a hardcore match, but I was doing it on like a very like I think it was shipment I tried it on, which I didn't have a good time on it. I need to go back to it. I want to give it a try, and then the other ones I'll try later. But based off what I have used, I'd really recommend FMJ, sleight of hand, and fully loaded, just because those are really nice to have. All right. So we're gonna go on to the presets I got, and if you guys want to use these and try them, see if they work. Now the perks and stuff, don't bother with that. I'm more or less focusing on the weapon. I have to actually fix that. The actual perks I use a lot, which I can show you real quick. This is my go-to. I use the overkill, hardline, and tracker. Hardline just so I can get the UAV quicker, and the precision airstrike quicker. I go overkill so I can have a shotgun on secondary, just because it's nice to have, and I also get to complete the weapons quicker. And then I keep tracker. I originally had, I think, tuned up. I think I had either tuned up or amped, which those are really nice too. But I generally usually have trackers because at times I have a hard time finding people in the game, which I don't know why, it's just a thing, and it's just easier for me to do it that way because I can see the footprints, I follow it, take them out. So the lethal, I use C4 just because C4 is easier to use for me. I just toss it out, throw it, destroy it, and it gets the people out of the areas. Then I use stim just for that extra health, just because it's nice to stay in battle. And also with the stim, I'm gonna give you guys a little, I guess, tip, which I think I said it in the video, but I probably like didn't do good on it. But there's one thing you can do with some of the weapons. SMGs or this MP5 does it really well. If you know if there's someone around the corner, like if there's one person and you're not 100% sure you're gonna take them out, pop that stem and like run around the corner, pop the stem, and then start shooting. The reason why is because when you pop that stem and you get hurt, you're automatically healing yourself from the damage, so you can basically negate that damage while taking them out, and it gives you at least a smaller chance to survive the battles. It's worked for me a couple of times. Not all the time it works, because it, depending on the weapon and when they actually shoot you is when it matters, but it's something I'd say I try using once or twice. It's pretty nice to use. Okay, so starting on the first one, which I believe this is the first preview that, or gunsmith thing I showed you guys. Yeah, because I have the 10mm down here. Which you guys can already see the accuracy is high, the damage is high. The only thing that's affected is the fire rate. Nothing else is majorly affected. This one's a really nice setup. I recommend this setup if you're going to be just going. Only reason is because you can swap out this ammo for anything. You can do whatever you want with it. You can even make this a free slot and just go for a stock, which I have none. Which I don't, just because of the fact that I have a high accuracy, I feel like it's pointless to add a stock. And then I have no grip or laser, so this one is good. I recommend it again. This one I use, like I said, I use whenever I'm close quarters, just because it's quicker and it's short and it gives me high mobility. The only thing it affects is control, but it doesn't really affect the control of the gun that badly, to be honest. If you don't really want, or if you're worried about the control and you don't really want to deal with it, I feel like adding a rear grip or changing the barrel will probably be the best solutions, because if you have a barrel that can maybe give you more accuracy or whatever, then I feel like the best way to do it. Or if you can get like a rear grip that can help you a little more, I feel like that's the way to go. Now now this is the setup I used for the long shot kills. As you see, the mobility is greatly reduced, but the accuracy, range, and control is amazing, and that's the reason why I have it for that reason. I can just sit up perched, waiting or whatever in an area, just get them long shot kills, and boom, I'm done. This is probably one of the better ones. If there's a better one out there, let me know, but this is, in my opinion, one of the best ones out there for getting the long shot kills, just because you got the integral hybrid and you can use either one, and you don't really need the integral hybrid, but I just use it just because it's nice to have whenever I'm going for long shots and someone's up close. And yeah, that's all I really got for that one. Now going on to the next one. This one I use whenever I run around. I aimlessly run around and start shooting. I don't really care about aiming, just because it's really good at close quarters. Like I said, I use the iron sight. It's pretty good for what it is. The only thing this thing affects is your range, just because of the fact that you have so much going on, and it would probably be harder to see with the iron sight. But if you don't like this, just add an iron sight and get rid of I don't know, either the FMJ or the rear grip. That's probably the two I could recommend getting rid of if you want an optic on it. But if you don't want an optic, just go for this because it's easier. And lastly, there's really no major change. If you don't really want to use the one barrel, the subsonic, or this one, or any barrel at all, which I don't use it a lot, just go for a regular whatever you want, which I got the monolithic, which is one of my favorite. And then I just got the operator foregrip. I got stock in the back, and the optic, which is Solo Zero, and then the striped grip tape. Honestly, I think this was the first setup I had when I first played this game, or when I first started using the MP5, and I loved it, but then I forgot exactly what I used for it, and then yeah. Alright, so now I kind of like went over, I guess, like the recommended ones. I'm just gonna run like a it's not online, I'm just gonna run like a bot thing, and you can kind of see how fast it aims and all that stuff, and how accurate all of them are. And then if you have any other ideas for the MP5 or any other weapons I'm gonna be doing in the future, just leave in the comments below, and I'll probably add them on later. So yeah, here we go. Alright, so this is the first one in the loadout. This is the one you've probably seen me use a lot. This one's probably one of my most used, just because it's really nice. You can see good distance. As you can tell, it's literally a laser beam of a weapon. You can just do that easily. The one thing I will say about this weapon that you could probably notice is the recoil. It is kind of high, but I've kind of gotten attuned to the recoil. So if you can easily get attuned to this recoil, it's not a biggie. But at times it can be a little bit of a pain. If you're gonna go for them range kills, it is an honest pain to get, just because like I said, that recoil. Because notice, look how like crazy the recoil goes. But if you're up close, it gets the job done. Alright, so I want to show you what it looks like when you're not even aiming at the weapon. You're just not even like aiming down sight. You're just running, just shooting. This was a really good weapon to use for that too. I mean, you don't even really have to aim, to be honest. If you just got the crosshairs easily on someone, boom, you're done. Which I know I kind of like sprayed, but let me get a better example. This guy over here. See, like how it works a lot well up close, as you can see. Range, it is a bit of a challenge. It's not the greatest, but if you're up close and personal and you just want to get the job done, it literally just does it for you. You really don't have to do a whole lot. That's one thing I love about it. Alright, so I'm on to the second one, which this one gives you high mobility, and this one, in my opinion, makes the weapon really stable, just because it's so little. And you can really get in and out of places. But as you can tell, like if you notice how fast this one aims compared to the other one, it aims really fast. I run really fast with this. It's really good to like aim down sight with it and everything. It's overall a decent one. I like it a lot. I don't really use this one far range. I can't really say it's the greatest far range, but if you're gonna go for close range, this is your weapon to go to. Almost had a nuke on him with that one. Okay, so this is the next one. This one, like I said, it's not the greatest. I don't like to use this one a lot. The only time I use it is whenever I'm going on far range kills, just because, like I said, all you gotta do is just perk up, and then you're pretty much ready to go. That's all you gotta do. But as you can see, like literally, all you gotta do is just swap between, and it's really good to use. I know I have like no ammo just because I cleaned out that, but it's a really nice one to use, just because once you got it stabled up, it's good to. It's like god tier level, and this is probably one of my, I guess, most used one in far range. Like
Enemy near Main Street.
What's that one? There's one map where it's like you're pretty far away from each other. No, it's not far away from each other. There's like a door between each other, and you pretty much just aim between. It's one that everyone like hides behind or whatever. I use that one a lot over there. I'll pick up another weapon and just run with it. Alright, so here's the next one. I don't have the stim. I wish I did put it on here. I could probably do it on here. Nah, hold on with it. But this one, it's literally, so like the iron sight is just so good. I like the iron sight for this one. It's really well. Aim really freaking fast with this one. You move fast with this one too. So good. The only thing I'd probably say that could probably, the one thing I will say that would probably hinder you a lot with using all these setups is the reload speed. If you need that fast reload speed, I would agree with you, because the fast reload speed would be nice. Alright, so we're on the last one. This one's very similar to the first one. It's not really a major difference. I think the only difference between the two is one's got a suppressor, one doesn't. This one, though, has better recoil, I will say. It's literally another laser beam, as you can tell. Which I do know, like I said, this is, even though yes, this is bots, you won't probably witness the same outcome just because these are bots, but I'll rest assure you that these are probably the best builds if you have, like, if you can just get in, get out. Because I mean, even like I said though, Like, if you picture these as players, you can kind of see how well I guess it goes. And even though it can be connection based too, but yeah, overall, these are the weapons I guess I require or recommend you using when it comes to MP5. And yeah, alright, so that was I guess the review for the MP5. This is technically the first review I've done for a Call of Duty game when it comes to weapons. Let me know what you think about this video, if I did well, or if you think I missed anything. I'm always like wanting to improve on stuff, and I always want to change on stuff. And this is something I've wanted to do. I wanted to like add more than just like me playing Call of Duty multiplayer and stuff. I figured I could just go over and review the weapon, or what I think about the weapon and overall, and all that stuff. But yeah. That being said, though, I guess if I can give a like a rating, which I don't like to give ratings as much, I could give this weapon a 9 out of 10. I guess you could say. I give it about an 8. The reason why I give it about an 8 is because, like I said, the weapon is really good. It's very satisfying. You get the job done really fast. But the only issue is, the reload speed can be rather slow, unless you have to sacrifice the perk for it. The other issue I believe for this weapon is the range, which I kind of can't fault the weapon because it is an SMG. It's supposed to be meant for like small and mid range. And then the only other thing I could fault this weapon for is maybe the control. Depending on what you do to the weapon, the control of the weapon can sometimes be affected greatly without you knowing. But if you can get used to the kick of the weapon, it's not an issue. But overall, MP5 is one of the best weapons, or one of the best SMGs. I think the MP7 is one of the better ones. I haven't got to that one yet. I'm gonna be doing the AUG. So if you guys see more videos, you're going to see the ARG weapon a lot more. And then when I get done with that one, I'll do a review similar to this, and so on and so forth. Yeah. Being said again, like I said beforehand, hope you enjoyed the video, and yeah. See you guys later. See ya.